Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today we got a bunch of Steelers news and rumors to cover right here on the show. First up, we're going to be talking about an NFL Insider that says the Pittsburgh Steelers should do what they did with Russell Wilson this year and bring in Kirk Cousins when he gets released by the Atlanta Falcons next offseason for dirt cheap. We'll break down that rumor here at the top of today's show. Then we'll get into a top wide receiver draft prospect that has been linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers as an ideal fit for Pittsburgh's offense. Then we'll finish up today's show with why I think Justin Fields may be back with the Pittsburgh Steelers next year as QB2. Now, before we get into the content today, I want to let you guys know that we only have 5 channels here at Chat Sports that have over 72,000 subscribers. And here at Steelers Talk, we are so close to joining that exclusive club here at Chat Sports. If you're new watching our show here and you want to help us get to that 72,000 subscriber mark, we are just over 350 subscribers away from that milestone. If you guys don't know, we provide you guys free and informative Steelers content every single day, so you're always stay informed on the whereabouts of this football team. We also have live shows every Monday and every Thursday, and we also go live for every single Steelers game, and we have breaking news coverage for you guys whenever they make a big move. So if you want to click that subscribe button right now to never miss a big Steelers story and help us go into the elite of the Chat Sports channels here at this company, make sure you click that subscribe button and do me a favor today. Okay, now let's get into our first rumor of the day here, which surrounds Falcons quarterback Kirk Cousins, who was recently benched by the Atlanta Falcons for rookie quarterback Michael Penix Jr. after his numbers really started to fall off a cliff here in the second half of the 2024 season. You take a look at Kirk Cousins' numbers here throughout the last 4 seasons, and he's had some good production, especially in the years when he was with the Minnesota Vikings there from 2021 through 2023. Only 8 games played in 2023 thanks to an Achilles tear, and then this year, the completion percentage is fine, but just about everything else is starting to take a dip. He has the same amount of touchdowns this year as he had in 8 games last year with the Minnesota Vikings, so the production has certainly dipped, and he's thrown a lot more interceptions this year than he traditionally does. He has more interceptions in 14 games this year than he had in 17 with the Vikings back in 2022. So Cousins has certainly had a down year after getting paid that massive contract to go to Atlanta. And Mike Florio, who's very close with Kirk Cousins, by the way, in his camp, thinks that the Pittsburgh Steelers should consider bringing in Kirk Cousins to be their starting quarterback for the 2025 season because Russell Wilson is going to be too expensive. This is what Mike Florio had to say on Cousins to Pittsburgh. Think about this. They've got Justin Fields under contract for the rest of the year. They've got Russell Wilson under contract for the rest of the year. They got both for nothing. Like their entire quarterback depth chart was making less money than Mason Rudolph was last year. And actually this year, I think Mason Rudolph is actually making more with the Titans this year than the entire quarterback room in Pittsburgh. If you can do this again and you can bring Kirk Cousins to run your offense and play Steelers football with Arthur Smith, we'd like to get a long-term franchise quarterback. We haven't found one yet, so apparently Russ isn't a franchise quarterback, according to Mike Florio. So let's just get a guy who dollar for dollar is a hell of a value. So listen, man, Cousins has a no trade clause in his contract with the Atlanta Falcons. So if they want to trade him to like the Tennessee Titans, who have like the worst offensive line in football, he can say no. And there's a lot of teams that I think Kirk would say no to, and I think it's going to end up being the case here, kind of like Derek Carr with the Raiders a couple of years ago, where he's just going to say, I'm not going to accept a trade to anywhere, so you're just going to have to cut me here. And I think that's probably what's going to happen. I think Atlanta will eventually cut Kirk Cousins. He will become a free agent, and he'll be free to sign with whoever he wants. And, you know, kind of like Russell Wilson with the Denver Broncos last year, he's going to be paid by the team that just gets rid of him, because if Atlanta cuts Kirk Cousins this next offseason, they take on $65 million in dead cap. All right, so Kirk Cousins might be like, you know what, I'm later in my career, I want to try to go win a Super Bowl. He might have a similar kind of mentality as Russell Wilson had this previous offseason, and he may be very interested in joining the Pittsburgh Steelers. And if the Steelers like not paying their quarterback anything, they might be interested in a guy like Kirk Cousins, just like they were interested in Russell Wilson when they could get him for the veteran minimum this year. And honestly, I could definitely see Kirk Cousins sign for the veteran minimum because he will be getting taken care of by the Atlanta Falcons next year, whether he plays for them or not. And it certainly sounds like he will not be on that football team. So if the Steelers really want to fleece another high-end or former high-end starting quarterback on a vet minimum contract and keep all of their defensive players and re-sign guys like Dan Moore Jr., Landon Roberts, Najee Harris, all the free agents that they have this year, they could go the Kirk Cousins route if they want to try and take another risk on an aging quarterback on a vet minimum deal. And you got to remember here, Mike Florio is close with the Cousins camp. So the fact that he's putting this out there and specifically saying, Steelers, go get Kirk Cousins, I'm thinking that Kirk's camp might be telling Florio, hey, we would love to go to Pittsburgh and be the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers next year. So now you make the call. If you're the GM of the Pittsburgh Steelers, which guy would you rather sign? Would you rather sign Kirk to a one-year veteran minimum contract type KC, or would you rather sign Russell Wilson to a long-term contract, which is likely going to cost the team at least $30 to $40 million per season for multiple years? Type RW if you want to keep Russ, or type KC if you'd rather get Kirk for dirt cheap. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time. But let me know which deal you would rather take. For me personally, guys, it's not even a discussion. I am bringing back Russell Wilson. You guys, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you knew that I was on the Russell Wilson train ever since going back to last March, all right? I have been somebody that has advocated for the Steelers to sign Russell Wilson. I advocated for the Steelers to start Russ over Justin Fields, even when many people thought Fields was the answer. And now I'm advocating for the Steelers to sign Russ to a multi-year contract that will keep him in Pittsburgh for the next 2 to 3 seasons as this team's QB1. And the reason why that is because Kirk Cousins, yes, formerly really good quarterback, very productive quarterback, in a pretty similar offense to what Arthur Smith runs, if I'm being honest with you. But his arm is completely shot. We've seen that this year. We saw it kind of like with Big Ben in the later portion of his career, where by the end of the season, he wasn't really able to throw the ball with as much power as he was earlier in the season. That's exactly what happened to Kirk Cousins this year. All right, I still think Russell Wilson has a better arm than Kirk Cousins. I think he's a better improviser out of structure than Kirk Cousins is. And right now there's continuity with Russell Wilson that I don't want to risk losing by bringing in another veteran quarterback in Kirk Cousins. So that's what I would rather do, guys. Let me know down in the comment section what you would rather do. And coming up here on Steelers Talk, we got a top wide receiver prospect in the 2025 NFL Draft that has been linked to the Pittsburgh Steelers as an ideal fit by Bleacher Report. So before I let you guys know who that is, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time, which is focused on togetherness this holiday season. And what that means is that when you bring people together at live events, whether it's a sporting event, whether it's a concert, whether it's a comedy show, the experience is just that much better when people go together. And really, guys, if you get a gift for somebody, if you haven't gotten a gift for somebody in your life yet, Game Time is the perfect outlet for you because you can get tickets right now and you can get that gift for that person right now before Christmas. And it's an awesome gift, man. You're really going to make that person's holiday if you get them Steelers tickets, if you get them a concert ticket, if you get them a ticket to go see a comedy show for their favorite comedian. You guys name it, you guys can make it happen. So Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And what I love about using the Game Time app in general, guys, is you get the lowest price guarantee on any ticket to any event. You also get all-in pricing right up front so you don't get slapped with the crazy fee at checkout. And you guys can also get flash deals if you wait long enough. And if you get tickets like right before the event starts, you can get even lower price tickets than the already lowest price guarantee on every single ticket that they have on their platform. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time today. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ChatSports for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. It's just for the first purchase, guys. Again, create an account and redeem code ChatSports for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. So the receiver I was alluding to earlier here is Luther Burden III out of Missouri. Now, if you've been following anything about the NFL draft this year, you know Burden is one of the highly touted receiver prospects that is going to be available in this spring's NFL draft in 2025. And Bleacher Report has listed Pittsburgh among the ideal fits for Burden's skill set in their most recent article written by Brett Soblensky. This is what he had to say about the Missouri Tiger prospect. As a true sophomore, Burden was one of college football's top performers, period. Even when Missouri hosted the LSU Tigers, the former's top target was arguably the game's best player, even with 2 future first-round wide receivers in Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr. on the field. Burden caught 86 passes for 1,212 yards during the campaign, which placed him into the top 5 prospect conversation entering the season. Yet the wide receiver barely eclipsed half of the yardage and simply disappeared in certain contests. Not everything falls on Burden, of course, but the NFL will want the previous version. So listen, man, I would love to draft Luther Burden III and make him a Pittsburgh Steeler. I mean, look at that. He's already wearing the black and gold. Might as well just make that transition from a yellow helmet to a black helmet and become a Pittsburgh Steeler, right? I mean, he's just so talented, so good after the catch, so explosive off the jump there, and he's got some really great body control, and he can make some really great catches down the sideline. Perfect to pair with a guy like Russell Wilson, who likes to throw those deep balls. I think it's a perfect complement to George Pickens, who's more of a true traditional X receiver. Burden can play the role of the traditional Z receiver on the other side, and he could be a dominant route runner for this offense moving forward. That is, if the Steelers can get him. And unfortunately, I don't think that he's going to make it to wherever the Pittsburgh Steelers are drafting. I'm somebody that believes the Steelers will win at least one playoff game this year, which is going to put them in the mid to late 20s in terms of where they're going to be drafting in the first round. I don't think Burden falls that far. Now, is it possible that Omar Khan trade up? I mean, it's absolutely possible. He traded up for Broderick Jones, right? He's not afraid to trade up, especially in the first round, for somebody that he absolutely loves. And you take a look at some of the upcoming team needs for Pittsburgh. They're probably going to take care of the quarterback situation in free agency, most likely with Russell Wilson. Then the running back situation, who knows? They might bring back Najee Harris. They might get somebody in free agency. And plus, if they don't get a running back in round 1, they can get a starting caliber running back in the later rounds. They don't have to take one in round 1. Wide receiver, they might be addressing it here. And then cornerback, they can bring back Dante Jackson. They feel pretty good with what they have at corner next year. So if all the other needs are kind of taken care of before the NFL draft, and that's certainly possible, I wouldn't mind Omar Khan, cobbling up together some picks to move up if Luther Burden falls to like 16, 17, 15, somewhere around that range. I wouldn't mind moving up a couple of spots there if I'm Omar Khan to pick somebody that could be a true game changer in year 1 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, the way I think Luther Burden III could be a game changer for this offense next year. So let me know down there in the comments section, and let me know down below this video. Do you believe in the con artist? If you do, like the video for me right now. I certainly believe in Omar Khan. I didn't think he did the best job handling the receiver position this season necessarily, but I think in future seasons it's going to be a major point of emphasis for him, and I still have a high degree of belief in him. If you're with me on that and you still believe in the con artist, click that thumbs up icon right now and like today's video. So the final topic on today's show is whether Justin Fields is going to return to the black and gold next year as this team's backup quarterback, or maybe even the starting quarterback for this team. And the more I look at the quarterback landscape around the National Football League, the more I do think Fields could potentially return as this team's QB2 backup quarterback here in Pittsburgh for 2025. You take a look at his stats when he was starting this year. So in 6 games started, 65.8% completion percentage. That is way above his career average. He had 139.2 total yards per game, so that includes rushing and passing. That's honestly not very good. But then he had the 10 total touchdowns. He had 5 rushing touchdowns in those 6 games. And then he had a combined 7 interceptions and fumbles. 6 fumbles, led the National Football League while he was starting. And then he had just the 1 interception. But to be fair, there were a couple of dropped interceptions, and that number could have been probably higher than it ended up being. But at the end of the day here, guys, the Steelers were 4-2 as a team when Justin Fields was their starter, and they even beat playoff caliber teams. They beat teams like the Falcons, who still might make the playoffs. They beat the Denver Broncos and the Los Angeles Chargers, 2 teams that will most likely be making the playoffs in the AFC, and that was with Justin Fields as their quarterback. And there were some people that were just absolutely panning Mike Tomlin for switching to Russell Wilson because Justin Fields was starting 4-2 as the starting quarterback of this team. So there's certainly reason to believe that some teams might say, hey, this guy was 4-2 with the Steelers. He could be a viable option for us, especially because he's a dynamic rusher. And you take a look at the quarterback needy teams that, I'm kind of projecting for the 2025 offseason. It's looking like the Raiders and Giants are going to be taking rookie quarterbacks, so you can kind of take Fields off of their list. Then you got Tennessee, Indianapolis, New York, and Cleveland. But honestly, those 4 teams I'm not too sure about either, because I think Sam Darnold and Kirk Cousins are probably going to be going somewhere, whether that's back with Minnesota in Darnold's case, or whether that's Kirk Cousins going somewhere else like the New York Jets or Cleveland Browns. And then I'm thinking Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson might even return to be the quarterbacks of those respective teams. Right now, Aaron Rodgers is not on a very high cap hit, and he's been playing better as of late, so the Jets might decide to keep him. And then Deshaun Watson's got a massive dead cap hit if they decide to release him or trade him next offseason, so the Browns might run it back one more year with Deshaun Watson, which would be absolutely hilarious, by the way. But then you look at Justin Fields. I'm just not sure if there's many places that would say, yes, Justin Fields, we're going to give you multiple years to come and be our starting quarterback and not have any competition. I just don't see many teams doing that this offseason. Now, it's certainly possible a team like Tennessee, a team like Indianapolis, maybe a New York Jets would give him a call and say, hey, we'll give you a chance to compete. But honestly, guys, I would love for the Pittsburgh Steelers to run it back with the quarterback room they have now. Having Justin Fields as your backup quarterback is a massive luxury with that Fields package, and I think that the tutorship that he gets under Russell Wilson is really good for his career. If he's ever going to develop into a legit starting option as a starting quarterback in this league, I think it's going to be with more than 1 year under his belt with learning from Russell Wilson. And I think this would be great for both players, and I think it would be great for the Pittsburgh Steelers if he wants to come back to Pittsburgh. So what is the percent chance that Justin Fields is on the Steelers next year? Let me know down there in the comments section. Put it on a scale of 0 to 100 for me. 0 meaning no chance he's going to be back next year, to 100 meaning he's definitely going to be back next year. Let me know your thoughts down there in the comments section. Now, for me personally, guys, I think it's slightly more than 50%. All right, like I talked about, I think, there's going to be a very, Kirk Cousins going to end up going somewhere. Sam Darnold's going to end up going somewhere. I think Rodgers and Watson could very likely be back with their respective teams. I just don't see many open spots for Justin Fields to fit into. Now, maybe something changes. Maybe something happens there where he gets an opportunity to compete for a starting job. But honestly, I think Justin's going to read the tea leaves here and say, hey, man, my best opportunity is to return to Pittsburgh, learn under Russell Wilson for another year or two, and then I'm going to try and get my starting job elsewhere in a couple of seasons. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. We got more Steelers content coming your way here throughout the week, and of course, it's all going to culminate in our watch party on Saturday evening when the Steelers play the Ravens, and if the Steelers win, they'll be crowned AFC North champions, so you're not going to want to miss that one, guys. Make sure you click that subscribe button. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.